just because this is kind of the root of a lot of my research and connection. This is an instrument called the Berimbau. You guys say Berimbau? Berimbau. So this is a musical bow that this actual instrument developed in Brazil from a bunch of different types of West Central and South African musical bows, right? So it originally developed from the hunter's bow, and then you have this gourd that resonates and provides more resonance for it. And then the other thing is like when you're thinking about music, a lot of people think about the sounds, the tones that you hear on the piano as as the ones that should be prioritized, or the ones that you consider as music, quote unquote. And so a lot of people hear this as one note, and this is another one. And they say, oh well, it's an instrument that only plays two notes, right? But then when you start to listen to the sounds in between, or the timbres or tone color in between those notes, different things, and it's way and the part that people are like, whoa, what's going on there? It's that you're doing more than just this and this, and you've got all these different sounds that people are like, wow, how did those go? Because there's the assumed simplicity of the instrument, right? And the other thing is about this instrument is that up until probably around the 1970s, people the music scholars would have been measuring the length of this wooden bow and saying, and here's a gourd that's this dimension, and they would leave it at that. And it's so much more than just a static object. So for example, there was a capoeira master who told me this phrase. He said, when the African arrived on the shores of Brazil, basically when he was brought as an enslaved African, all he had were the nails on the ends of his hand. And he was talking about a Angolan musical bow technique, like that they would play it like this. Right? And so he said the coin signifies what the African has been able to acquire over the centuries. And so he's talking about how it's changed the sound of the instrument. But then he went on to say, if you use a Portuguese imperial coin, so this one is from 1821, slavery was abolished in Brazil in 1888. So if you have this piece of coin, it not only signifies what the African's been able to acquire, but you're holding in your hand a piece of money that was actually used to purchase somebody's freedom. So you can start to see other meaning and significance invested in these instruments, and like to kind of take it another realm, connecting instruments with Afro-Brazilian religious view perspective, also traced back to Central African concepts, is that the part of the top part of the bow points up to the spirits, and then the bottom part connects the world of the ancestors and everybody who's come before you, and all that is joined together of the body of the musician. And so everybody who hears this sound is protected by that power of bringing those together. And the Africanist scholar Robert Ferris Thompson down at Yale talked about this thing called a Congo cosmogram, where people would make a kind of a sign of a cross, and the person would stand on that cross and connect these realms together, and that would be what would bring these worlds together and basically complete the cycle of meta religious power of bringing those together. So you can see how that's extended to this particular museum. So you can learn a lot from asking people about their instruments as well, and instead of just saying, okay, well that's a look. People say, oh, who are you going to shoot with that thing, right? So I hear that all the time, right? The other thing that's difficult is trying to take this on an airplane when you go to do a performance, and it's really funny because after 2001, of course, you couldn't take it into on board with you, and so I developed a huge PVC tube with caps on the end, and then it looked like a huge, pipe bomb, So then they're like, oh, you can't do that, So you just can't win, right? So, and it was really funny. The only reason why I bring that up is a Brazilian just sent me just tagged me on Facebook because he said there's a Brazilian airline that has a policy that the only instruments you can bring on board are a guitar and a berimbau, but you have to buy an extra seat for it, But what he was making fun of was this is called the berimbau de barriga, or the belly bow, because it resonates on your belly. But it's also a name for a Jew's harp, or a mouth bow. And so this guy was making a play. He's like, do I really have to buy a seat for my mouth and my So there you go. Long story for no payoff, but so